2016, a year that gave us many games that would make this year a year to remember. Doom, Sister Location, and Dark Souls 3. However, one game was released that would go down to change horror games forever. Dead by Daylight. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Unlike most horror games, Dead by Daylight uses the live service gimmick, but twists it to fit the horror genre. I say this because most horror games these days are all single-player games. The Resident Evil 4 remake, the Dead Space remake, and Alan Wake 2. With Dead by Daylight, you and 3 others experience terror in a whole new way, as the game uses third person to build tension and dread. The feeling of tension that you must be aware of everything around you while working on the objective to avoid the killer finding you. And also makes the survivor panic as the killer can appear at any moment, so you must hurry to fix the gen to get out before it's too late. With the feeling of dread, the consistent feeling that the killer can be anywhere and you must avoid making mistakes as the killer will be lurking somewhere, near, looking and listening for you. The tension goes even higher as the player is afraid of whatever killer they're going against, as some killers have ways to find you quietly, and thus catch you off guard. Killers like the Spirit, Ghostface, Michael Myers, and the Dredge have ways to sneak up on you, and your only chance is to hide and pray that they do not find you. In other words, Dead by Daylight has found ways and will continue to make new ways to haunt and scare you. When it comes to making a good horror game, 3 factors are seen to make that horror game a good one. The music, the environment, and of course, the killers. With Dead by Daylight, they took these factors to a new level, making some horror games look like children's games. For the environments, each map is made to fit a certain theme or story that the map is trying to tell, which gives this gloomy yet disturbing feeling to the player. For example, the Macmillan Estate is the map of Trapper. The story of this map is that he inherited the estate from his father, but Trapper, or Evan, was trapping his workers in the mines, which explains the sealed mines with tunnels that are not accessible to us. Another map that has a story to tell is the Cold Wind Farm. The farm was owned by the Thompsons, and the parents, Max and Evelyn, hid away their son in a small dark room because of his disfigurement, but also his absurd strength. He would be forced by his father to kill farm animals, and the police would watch him do so. But after quite some time, Billy goes on a rampage and kills his parents, the chief, and the deputy police officers, which takes place in 1972. Then finally, the Grave of Glenvale is an abandoned settlement where the Deathslinger and his gang and another gang clash. Both the civilians and some of the gang members die due to the crossfire. These maps have had a hidden story to tell, and amazingly such maps are given stories to make the player understand the backstory for each map. Now, the music for this game is given so much love as both the killers and the survivors have themes given to them. For the survivors, it's a soft guitar playing to give this feeling that we all must stay together to stay alive and push through whatever the entity throws at us, and that there is a moment of peace as the guitar plays near a campfire, signifying that once we are called by the entity, we are no longer safe. Now, with the killers, it's a tense yet slow guitar playing to give this feeling that they are watching the survivors and lurking in the shadows, waiting for their time to do the bidding of the entity, and being that brought them there so long ago. As you get chased by the killers, They each have a theme along with your heart beating fast and the feeling that you are now being hunted, and all you can do is run. Then lastly, the killers are given designs that only true horror fans would truly create. Trapper is inspired by Jason, which you can tell by his bone-made mask and machete. For the Doctor, you can see he is a mad scientist who went too far, as his eyes and his laugh give a feeling that he is far from the man he once was. Then, with the Spirit, she is a vengeful ghost, and her design tells you that she did not die painlessly, and now wants revenge. Each killer was given so much love and attention that you can see how different yet terrifying and unique their designs truly are. We all get horror games with cool killer designs here and there, but Dead by Daylight is a game that shows many that this game is made by those who truly love horror in every way possible. With most horror games, many would write a good story for characters that would make many people envy or love them. However, they won't go into full detail about how the characters got there in the first place, and most of the time, they just focus on moving the main story further and nothing more. With Dead by Daylight though, that is changed. Not only do the survivors have stories to tell, but also the killers have a backstory of how they joined the entity's realm. With most survivors, most got either kidnapped or wandered too far into the lair of the entity's domain. The same can be said for the killers, as some joined for power, some joined to satisfy their bloodlust or to give them their revenge, and some were taken by the entity or were saved by it. Killers like the Unknown, who was taken by the entity, and the Pyramid Head, who made a deal with it, or even the Plague, when she and her followers were trying to summon the entity, and then later get taken by it, by the entity and the fog itself. Some killers like Chucky and Legion were lured and manipulated to join it without any convincing whatsoever. Some killers and survivors like Laura Strode and Michael Myers were taken, as Laura was most likely running from Michael, and they are now in the domain of the fog, which the same can be said for Freddy and Quentin. For Michael though, he simply stayed for the sole purpose of mindlessly killing. For killers who made a deal, well, the Spirit, after getting cut up by her father but also seeing her father kill her mother, she was saved by the entity and was promised to her that she would be given her revenge, but at the cost of servitude. Both the killers and the survivors have stories that tell the backstory of how all of them got there, and the fact that every single character, including the antagonist, was given lore just shows how far they are willing to make their characters or players interested in their favorite killer or survivor's backstory. When it comes to finding something that works, many others see that specific thing and try to replicate it, but fail miserably. Dead by Daylight, despite its success, has had competition before over the years. However, they would not last very long. The first would be obvious, the Friday the 13th game that released on May 26, 2017. The game was loved a lot by fans, however, there was one issue that made Dead by Daylight loved more, and that issue was diversity. I say this as Dead by Daylight has been making many killers and getting many other popular franchises killers, like Ghostface, Michael Myers, Pyramid Head, Pinhead, Chucky, the Xenomorph, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, and even villains from Resident Evil like Wesker and Nemesis. So many killers from different eras of horror movies and video games alike have been added, and it makes it a bit harder for single horror game killer games like Friday the 13th, the Texas Chainsaw game, and even the Evil Dead game to compete, as they are all single killer games which are not good, as many would go to Dead by Daylight because of the many killers that it has. but also for the possibility for more killers like Slenderman, Springtrap, or even Candyman to come in the future. And for that specific reason, the Friday the 13th game is no longer for sale as of December 31st, 2023. However, it is still in function till December 31st, 2024, but then it will end after that date most likely. Also, the Evil Dead game, it had canceled support for the game and it was never brought to Nintendo Switch. Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that had so much potential at the very beginning of its lifespan is slowly dying, but also the game called Video Horror Society sadly shut down due to it not doing as well as the company wanted it to do despite its great potential. All of these games were popular for a time, but only for a while, and then slowly they met their end, but yet Dead by Daylight survived it all. Why is that? Well, it's quite simple really. The game has lasted for so long but also improved along the way that it's been at least 8 years since Dead by Daylight's release. Even during its first few months of the game, they got Michael Myers as their first major killer to celebrate Halloween. That is another reason the game has done so well. Collabs. Much like Fortnite, IP holders like Stranger Things and Resident Evil saw the potential of Dead by Daylight, and more importantly, the developers just have much more money and more connections with companies like Capcom to go ahead and say that they can show the audience what they want and what to buy. And it also shows that they have more than what most small developers have due to the very early success that the game had at just 4 months of the game's lifespan. Now, even without the collabs, they have shown that their game is still going to do well, as game modes and killers like the game mode Lights Out and killers like the Hillbilly, the Oni, and even the Huntress are fan favorite killers that are some of the game original killers that are loved because of how unique and scary, but also how cool their designs truly are. And the crazy part is, they didn't even get the license for Ghostface. They got the license for the mask itself. In a way, they made their own version of Ghostface while still holding the character of Scream. The game has its ups and downs, of course every single game does. However, these factors just make Dead by Daylight a different but unique and special game that many seem to know and love and come back to whenever a new chapter gets released. A game made by horror fanatics. A game meant to bring any type of horror fan into one place, because death is not an escape. Now, that is all for me for now. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you want more content like this, then please subscribe for more horror content like this in the near future. Now, I will see you all in the next one. Take care, and God bless.